Hey Gearheads, and welcome to Garage Talk, a discussion about all things automotive. I'm Corey.
And I'm Matt. And each week this podcast will serve as a catalyst for discussion on all sorts of topics that grind our gears, excite us, or just need an extra bit of conversation.
And this week we're talking dream cars yet again. We are following up with the results of our dream car bracket, which actually closed out last week. We thank everyone for participating, but we're very excited to get into it. And on that note, just wanted to plug again, you can reach out to us on all our social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all at GT Garage Talk. You can go to our website and find links to everything else, including our YouTube page, and that is gtgaragetalk.com. We are just glad to hear back from each and every one of you. This was a very fun experiment through social media, finding out what our fans truly dreamed over, dreamed after, and aspired to own them.
Yeah.
So, Matt, why don't we just jump right on into it? Jump right into the deep end after being out a week, huh?
Yeah. I was not here last week. Yeah. I was not for no reason though. No, I had a terribly busy week last week, and actually this evening it's 7 minutes or so after 10 on a Monday night, and we're just getting started. So we're having to squeeze these in where we can because I'm working like crazy. So
nothing like an amateur podcast, right?
That's it.
So great plug for supporting us. You can find us on Patreon. Go to gtgaragetalk.com/support and find out all the ways you can help us out so that we don't have to be recording at 10 o'clock on Monday night.
That's right.
Help
so maybe
I
can quit a job or two. No, yes. It's self-inflicted at this point, the extra jobs. But yes, if you feel like this is something that you want to support, by all means, jump in and shoot us some cash, shoot us some support, and even something as simple as just sharing out our page, sharing out our posts, things like that. It makes a huge difference. It plays with all the algorithms and makes us important to Facebook, which means they want to share us more often too. So
yes, and you could even go and buy some stuff like, I don't know, cool hat.
Yeah.
For those of you watching on the YouTubes right now, you can see Matt's awesome Garage Talk hats. So those are available on our website. So
I'm terribly pleased with it. So it's every bit worth the price. I'll say that. It is not the fanciest, nicest, coolest hat I've ever owned, but as far as a great getting started like piece of apparel, I am super stoked that of the half a dozen things that I ordered, that this came in the mail first. Corona be darned, dadgummit, I got my hat.
Yes.
So
I just got an email today about a couple more shirts I ordered, and they are delayed even further. Factories are ramping back up, but it'll be a while before life is normal as we know it, or as normal as can be. But
air quotes normal,
yes.
Right?
Yes. So all plugs aside, let's get back into our dream car bracket.
Yeah.
So, Matt, I believe you've got the results in front of you. I've got the results in front of me. We'll kind of work through them challenge by challenge, bracket by bracket. Some of them surprised us. Some of them were a no-brainer.
Sure.
We asked you, our listeners, for your dream cars, and I did my best. It was tough. This is the first one I've ever had to create like this. I did my best to make as logical a matchup as possible in the first round, and it got harder the further in we got to the center of the bracket, and we'll get into the final four. Was a very weird set of cars that had no
business. You're admitting though that this was your fault. That's what I'm hearing. Like the pairing of the Prowler and the Wrangler, that was your doing.
Well, mine and our fans, yes.
Okay.
Because
right.
it could have very well turned out to be something different
Hold
if
on, we
they
don't
had
have
voted
very many
otherwise.
fans. Don't blame it on them.
Yes, it was all me. It was all me. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Okay. All
We
right.
will do better next year. I take it back. It was me.
No,
Sorry for throwing y'all under the bus.
well, it really was cool. It was fun to see how things played out and see which cars won and lost. I mean, once the Ford GT was out of the first round, like the rest of it didn't
They
matter,
won.
right? I mean,
So yeah, so I came out. I came out of the gate swinging. I figured let's get a really fun, interesting matchup right out of the gates
yeah,
to launch this program, this voting method. I had never really, so I'm learning all about how to do all the extracurricular stuff on social media, if that's what you want to call it, and voting and figuring out how the results would come back to me and uh, when certain polls ended and all that stuff. So it was definitely a learning experience all the way around. But yeah, came out of the gate swinging with Corvette C8, which I figured, with it being brand new, mid-engine for the first time in over 50 years, that it would have a lot of hype behind it, and it would get us going
right.
right off the bat. Going up against Ford GT, which is now a or a twin turbo V6, if I'm
Yep.
not mistaken. No longer a V8, but still an amazing car
Oh,
that is
I,
way more expensive than the
sure.
Corvette. And
It was like 8 times more expensive, nearly
yeah,
something like that.
it really plays in a different league and a different bracket. And when you're talking dream cars, like legit dream cars, the path to ownership of one of these
Oh man.
is insane.
Yeah.
Like, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I could Google it, but where's the fun in that? I want all the comments telling me how wrong I am. Like, you had to own a previous generation Ford GT or be on Ford's good list,
Right.
and you had to apply to be able to purchase, and then you had to sign some affidavit or something saying you wouldn't sell it for a year.
Yep.
And the only reason I know about that is pro wrestler John Cena broke his legally binding document and sold his sooner than a year. And Ford came after him with all their legal firepower.
Oh, I bet they
And
did.
I can't remember exactly how that turned out, but not
Probably
very
not
well
great.
for
Yeah.
good old John Cena. And I don't think he'll be able to buy anymore.
No, I doubt it. He's probably burned that bridge, hasn't he?
Yeah. Now, on the flip side, so it's just come out in the past week or so due to the corona pandemic. The 2020 mid engine C8 Corvette will be one of the rarest models ever produced because they cut the production short. They have already ceased production on 2020 and
Oh
have
wow.
started 2021. So I can see collectors and people already jacking the price up on those dealerships
Oh
if they've
yeah.
got any left on the lot that weren't already claimed. I don't know
Yeah.
how they would have gotten one just sitting around, but I can only imagine the dealer markups and
Yeah. Like
all the
if
money
you
that
had, just a random $70,000 laying around, now would be a great time to go track
to go
down a
find one.
C8 and buy it
No,
because
no matter what the options, just
yeah,
buy
no, it
one,
won't matter.
stick it in your garage, cover it up, keep that thing in
Yep.
great condition, and you'll be sitting on a small fortune.
Start it every 3 or 4 weeks and
Yep.
listen to it rumble and then because it'll
But-
make you some money.
But that being said, 2021 model year is going to go mostly unchanged. So the C8 Corvette, which is what was up against the Ford GT, as general, much easier to get your hands on, even though at this current point in time, it is still tough to get your hands on a C8.
Yeah.
I have yet to see one in person. We were planning on going to the Dallas Auto Show this year, which got canceled due to Corona pandemic. I do know that there are a few around town. I've seen them popping up on social media. I have yet to lay eyes on one in person, but very much cannot wait for that moment. And as a Chevy guy, I'll admit right here, I voted C8 Corvette because I couldn't vote for the Ford.
Yeah.
Another fun thing about this whole bracket challenge was I was doing this like I woke up in the morning, went through my normal morning routine, waking up, basically becoming alert, and then I hopped on social media, and this was like one of the first active things I did every day. So for a month, I was doing this early in the morning before actually going into work remotely, and I've kind of I'm like Ricky Bobby now. I don't know what to do with my hands. What do I do with my mornings now? So a few extra minutes of sleep never hurt.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Did you have any more thoughts on C8 versus GT for GT?
Well, I was looking over at the voting counts, the voting totals. And, I mean, it's kind of crazy. Like, let's see, it was 10 votes to 16. I mean, so it wasn't like astronomically different or anything like that.
Right.
Unlike
the one right below it. So day 2 saw the Jaguar F-Type, which is my wife's current like dream car. If we hit the lotto, we would have a Jaguar F-Type in the garage, no questions asked. And it was going up against, I said I did my best. There were a lot of weird matchups, but the poor old Chrysler Crossfire got swept. Not a vote. Nary one vote.
Not even one.
Across all 3 platforms.
And I would have even considered voting for it if it had been matched up against something else. But there's just no competition there. I mean,
now both cars have a very, very ample backside to them.
Yeah,
and that is probably one of their best angles for both of them, which is why I paired them up together. And if you remember, the image I used for voting was a rear quarter shot.
I did not remember that. That's clever. I like it.
Playing to their assets. So seeing what we can do there. But that made for a very interesting one. And if you'll actually look, Matt, you've got all the results in front of you.
Yeah.
Instagram actually carried the voting all the way through this.
That's cool.
And again, I think it's algorithms. I said, it was a learning process for all of us. But I put the hashtag on all the votings. It was GT Dream Car Bracket Challenge, and I think Instagram just had a better method of additional people finding our poll and our story.
That. Yeah.
Because we had a very interesting array of voters, and I'm kind of wondering. There were a few times I thought maybe bots are voting in this, and I was trying to figure out how do I compensate for that. But I said, you know what, we'll see how it plays out.
There you go.
And it was fun.
Another no contest: the General Lee Charger versus the DeLorean. Again, the DeLorean is a pretty cool car, cutting edge for its time. But you put it against
made a huge movie star by Back to the Future.
Yeah, but even in its movie car state, it still does not compare to the flying '68 Charger. It just doesn't.
Yeah, and I was actually surprised on that one. So I could see who voted for what, much to my wife's dismay, because I always gave her flack. How could you vote for that? And she was one of the ones that nominated the DeLorean. Yeah. And she went and voted for the General Lee, and I was like, babe, what? You nominated the DeLorean. She's like, yeah, but it's the General Lee. Which I'll tell you how many times I heard that exact phrase throughout the entire bracket challenge. Yeah, but it's the General Lee. I'm like, okay, well, you got me there. But I don't know if we've covered this on this podcast yet, but have I made you aware that you can actually still to this day buy a brand new DeLorean with classic parts?
I don't know if you and I have specifically talked about it, but I did know that. Yeah, they
Yeah.
they have
Right here in Houston. Well, Houston, Texas. So.
Yeah, there's like thousands of parts on the shelf, and you call and order one, and they assemble it and ship it to you.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Scheming face.
There you go. There you
go. Another kind of no contest. We'll just start running down them real quick, starting at the top. 69 Chevy Camaro Z28 against a 65. It was very specific when it was nominated. 65 Pontiac GTO, which love them both. I am
Beautiful
a GM
cars.
nut. GTO kind of started the whole big V8 in a car that didn't make sense thing back in the 60s. But 69 Camaro Z28 is, I've said it many times, my all-time dream car. Again, we win the lotto. There's a Jaguar F-Type in our garage, and there's a 69 Camaro Z28. And there may even be a second one that's a project car. I'm not going to lie, because, all money at my disposal, I'm probably going to have a project car.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Followed up by Smokey and the Bandit Trans Am again. Not the Trans Am's best year, but it achieved movie fame, against an old 442, which, I mean, if we were really talking like the car itself by the numbers and all that, the 442 should have won hands down.
Right.
But Smokey and the Bandit won by 8 votes there. So
the old fire chicken.
Yep. All right. So my wife smartly pointed out that you and I had an inside joke for this next one that we laughed about on the podcast, but did not share with all of our fans. And so that was a comment made by one of our friends that I still will not share on the podcast, but you can reach out to us.
Yeah.
Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. All at GT Garage Talk. You can email me, gtgaragetalk@gmail.com. We will tell you what that inside joke is. But it was Eleanor from Gone in 60 Seconds. So the Shelby GT 500 versus a Shelby Cobra, which this one was an easy vote for me. As a non-Ford guy, it was an easy vote, especially a Camaro guy. I'm not voting for the Mustang.
Right. Well, and I think I voted Cobra also. Like, it's they're both Ford. They're both Shelby. But man, left to his own devices, like, Carroll did a much better job at designing things than Ford did back in the 60s.
Yes, he did. And I could just say right now, going back to your theme of dream car, like, this is something you were dreaming about, not necessarily something you would go out and buy. One is way more rare than the other. One, they're making kit cars of, like knockoffs that you can build yourself, and the other, they're not. So obviously, if one has achieved the status and the fame that they're making knockoffs of it or kit cars of it, obviously that one deserves to win.
Have you ever gone on and built from Factory 5 one of their kits, like to price it out and see? Okay, it's fun. I've done it with their 32 or 34 Ford pickup also. You could probably build 2 faux Shelby GT 500 67 Mustangs for what you'd pay for a kit car, like
of a Cobra,
unregistered, comes in a big crate to your front door kit car. Like, I think they start at 24 or 25,000, but that's like a shell and a frame, and you have to have a donor car, which is a Fox body Mustang typically. What? That's quite the face there, Corey.
That is the worst Mustang ever.
Yeah, but the suspension setup is fairly decent, and the 5-liter that 302 from Ford can be woke up pretty well. And you're talking about a kit car, right?
Right.
So I mean, like I got on and built one, right? I want the new 5-liter or a 427 because it's a Cobra, so 427. But just the engine option is $12,000. Like, so you go from 25 to 37, and then you start talking about transmission. That's another $6,000. Rear end, there's another $3,000 or $4,000. I mean, you're talking $60,000 or $70,000 like that. I mean, for a kit car.
For the IKEA of cars.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that one was not as agonizing a decision as it was for our friend Daniel. Again, we can tell you what that comment was that had both of us rolling on the floor when he shared it with us.
We should probably ask his blessing before we share that, if we share it.
Oh, no, I'm sharing it.
Oh, yeah.
Let it be known.
That's right.
Let me know something. It could go on the podcast. My friendships are all in danger now. So, all right. Man. So then we took a little trip to Italy. That was fun and extremely surprising.
Really?
I was floored by how our trip to Italy went. So first up, we had the Ferrari Testarossa, hugely popular in the 80s. Certain TV show. Miami Vice.
The Miura, like
a Lamborghini Miura, which should have won.
They should have blown it all out of the water.
And I can only attribute the fact that the Lamborghini Miura lost by 5 votes. So the final tally was 20-15 in favor of the Testarossa. Marketing. That's pure and simple. My wife's in marketing. She touts it all the time. Obviously, right here, we've got the results, and all I can say is it comes down to marketing, because when you've got a Ferrari Testarossa driving around Miami in the 80s versus a relatively unknown to the uninitiated car person, they're like, what? Lamborghini Miura?
Right.
What is that? It's interesting looking. I kind of like it. Why are the headlights? Why do they look like that? So that's all I can say there is it's just the superstar status came into play many times over. Smokey and the Bandit won because of it. The General Lee won multiple times because of it. And Ferrari Testarossa beat out the Lamborghini Miura. It had to be because of marketing.
I would argue, though, with the General, and I understand, Rebel flag on the hood, the General Lee lettering on the roof, the big 01 bright orange car, right? It's an eye-catching, iconic TV star car. But I would argue that if it was a black on black 68 Charger RT, that it would have at least done pretty close.
I think it would have made it to round 2.
Yeah.
Possibly round 3. But I don't think it would have, not to spoil future results for anyone who hasn't gotten there yet. I'll put a note for those of you watching on YouTube right now to click the card. I don't know which side it's on. I'm still learning. But it's one of those directions. And go watch our reveal video. I do a very quick run through of all the major matchups of this bracket challenge, but it was a good one. So
see, and I would have, I don't know. I'm looking now at round 3 and seeing what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah. It'd have been close.
Hold your horses there. So, still in Italy, Lamborghini versus Ferrari yet again. Lamborghini Aventador, which is the most refined of the V12 Lamborghinis. It's basically a reskinned Audi. Audi's very much taken over control of Lamborghini and steadily refining the brand.
It's not a bad thing. I really don't think it's a bad thing.
Unless you're, talking to our friend with the Grand Tour, Richard Hammond, who says Lamborghinis are supposed to try and kill you, and they just don't anymore. They're not as crazy and harebrained as they once were. They are still bonkers to look at, though. The design of them is amazing. But one vote separated these two here, and the Ferrari 812 Superfast, a front mid-engine supercar, beating out a true mid-engine supercar. So, for those of you unaware of what exactly that means, front mid-engine, that means the engine is in the front of the driver, but behind the front axle. So there we go, in between the two axles. Whereas in most front engine cars, it's either on top of the axle or just ahead of the axle, but fully behind that front axle. So it has got a long hood because you got essentially a straight six under there that you got to contend with. But
I wonder what the cutoff is, like the dead center line of the axle on the front. Like, can the pulleys be over that line, or does it have to be, is it crankcase, or I'd be curious how they measure that.
Yeah. I need to go into the schematics of it all now that I bring it up and truly look into that. But there's been several cars in my history that I've come across that's not mid-engine, it's in the front. No, it's a front mid-engine. Yeah.
Right.
And then it was explained to me it's between the axles. So.
Well, and some of those lines, the Viper could be on the verge of, because you're talking about a whole big old long hood on that thing too, and there being a lot of the engine behind the axle. Yeah. I'd be curious about that.
Yeah. So I think I've alluded to it, but I'll just come right out and say it. The Ferrari 812 Superfast won by one vote, beating out Lamborghini. And then Lamborghini tried yet again to make it out of round one with the Countach.
Not happening.
I grew up idolizing.
Oh, yeah.
A little bit older than you, just a little bit. And that was between the Countach and the Diablo. I think I was really more Diablo time frame where I was like, man, if I could have a Diablo, that is the car. That is the one you want to put on a poster on the wall. Right. But
I think I would lean a little more towards the Countach because I was also a big fan of the Esprit from Lotus, and they kind of have that similar shape, body
wedge, style. Angular, but it was paired up against the Pagani Zonda R, which is a ridiculous machine. But calling it Italian, it's got a German heart. Like, it's a Mercedes engine through and through. Like, signed and badged and everything. It is a Mercedes engine in an Italian, basically race car for the streets.
Yeah.
And there's 3 votes separating it there, and poor Lamborghini just could not come out on top.
I would argue, of the supercars that we had in this list, that it is the most beautiful. Like,
the Zonda?
Oh, man. I understand the ample backside element, but those curves and the hips and the way that thing flows is just, it's beautiful.
So I didn't bring it up when we were talking about the Aventador, but I'll bring it up here. Another mutual friend of ours has lamented to me a current design trend in certain cars, of which the Aventador and the Pagani Zonda are both guilty. And that is, quote, sorry if I offend, I'll keep it very G. Well, it is G. It's a G comment, but the butthole exhaust. There's no better way to say it than the butthole exhaust. Yeah. And the Aventador is probably worse because it's kind of, I guess it's an octagonal exhaust, but it's at least this big.
Oh, it's huge.
Very long and wide, right smack dab in the bottom middle of the rear bumper, and that's it. And there's no better way to explain it than it's the car's butthole. And the Pagani Zonda, and they're quite proud of this because if you go on any of their websites, their media sites and things of that nature, it's like the silhouette of it is kind of a signature of theirs, and it's featured on many of their cars, but they've got a round section in the middle of the rear. It's not even the bumper, it's just the rear of the car.
Right.
And 4 quad exhaust tips inside that circle, and that is the exhaust. And so it too has a quasi butthole exhaust, if you will, and love it or hate it is all I can say. Some other offenders currently that our viewers and listeners may be familiar with, the Honda Civic Coupe, current gen Honda Civic Coupe. I believe you had to step up to the SI model to get the butthole exhaust, but it's there. There are a few others. There was an option for the O2 Camaro. The last year model of the 4th generation Camaro, you could get a very long, skinny center exit exhaust. It's an interesting design choice.
The Corvettes for forever have had that center, 2 or 4
quad
center
exhaust. Yeah. And they have since, with the C8 Corvette, put them at the corners. Yeah. I'm sure some of the purists hate it, but hey,
there's only so much room.
Forward.
Just tell them to put a couple of turbos in there, and then they can turn it right into through the middle and be done.
Yeah. All right. So sorry for that detour. Those mental images. Try and get those out of your head. You'll never look at those cars the same way again.
That's right. So ZL1 1LE against the GT350R.
I was very pleased with the results here.
Well, of course you were, Mr. GM. It wasn't close at all, was it? 22-13, and I don't know. Both very competitive cars. Both have very close competitiveness as far as engine output numbers and handling and things like that. I do think that personally, I think the Mustang looks way better than the Camaro.
So, Camaro fanboy here. Yes. The 1LE ZL1 takes it a little extreme. So that is their track package. All out performance, aero, and all this. So it's got wings and aero splitters and
all kinds of stuff.
It kind of looks like a RoboCop of cars. But it also looks very angry.
Oh, yeah.
Do not mess with it. It will bite your head off.
I would get out of the way if I saw that rolling up behind me. So,
but both are essentially street legal race cars.
Right.
Which is what the R in GT350R for the Mustang stands for. I mean, it is legit race car. So, then we got into some trucks. So Chevy Colorado ZR2, which is their high-speed off-roader, mid-size based, versus Ford F-150 Raptor. No surprise there. Again, Raptor kind of started the whole trend.
Yeah.
I think it even exceeded Ford's expectations. Because when they first started making the first gen, it was originally an extended cab, short bed only. That was all you got, which was the most logical design for what they intended the purpose of the Raptor to be.
Right.
Was like a high-speed desert runner.
Right.
But then people just started buying them left, right, and center, no matter what the price tag was. And they made the crew cab and made it more of a family vehicle, which I can't tell you how many we see on the streets here regularly.
Oh, man, they're
just
all
used
over.
as daily drivers.
Yeah.
So I'm not surprised by those results at all.
a fun little tidbit of trivia with the Raptor. The first year of its production and being sold, the average amount of time that a Raptor sat on a Ford dealership lot was 14 days.
I was going to guess something like 5.
Yeah,
that's an incredible turnover. As someone who frequently watches cars and how long they've been sitting on a lot to know how to negotiate a really good deal on it, 14 days is stupid fast.
Yeah. I mean, like, that's like Corvette territory. It's got to be. Yeah. It's just insane. Anyway.
The next one was a completely logical matchup that I feel gets overlooked a lot in the automotive media world because everybody compares both of these next vehicles to the Ford Raptor, and they are by no means competition for the Raptor.
No.
So that's the Chevy Silverado Z71 Trail Boss and the Ram 1500 Rebel. And they are light off-roaders. They're a step above just a standard off-road package.
Right. It would be like the Sahara package on a JL or something like that. I mean, it's a little more than factory Z71, but definitely not full-blown Rubicon kind of territory.
So even though Ram is climbing the ranks in overall sales, and I think if someone just handed me the money, I would be very torn as a Chevy fanboy between these two. My father-in-law has a brand new Ram. The interiors of them are just amazing and beautiful, and that 12-inch touchscreen in the middle is awesome. I love technology, but Chevy guy through and through. I've had a Silverado before. I've come to really love the current design, so I'd be torn on this one, but Chevy won out 22-6. So I think more brand loyal people there than anything.
Probably that, and the Rebel's a few years old. The Trail Boss is pretty brand new. So
next up, we got a little sibling rivalry out of Jeep, the JL Wrangler against the JT Gladiator. You've already thrown me under the bus on YouTube for this one, so I could think of nothing better to pair up against one another. Like, would you rather the truck, or I think Fiat Chrysler Automotive classifies it as wagon, not an SUV, but
truck.
Yeah,
truck.
I would love a Gladiator.
Always truck. Always truck.
Very much love to have a Gladiator. If we were buying one for our household, it would be the Wrangler. It makes a little more sense if you're going to do rock crawling stock to get a Wrangler.
Sure.
But I cannot tell you how many YouTube videos I watch. I watch Wayalife is in particular, and he bought a brand new JL when they were hard to get, JL Wrangler, and he bought a brand new JT Gladiator when they were really hard to get. And the first thing he did with both of them was take them out rock crawling in Nevada. And he's like scraping metal left and right. Dude, you're killing me. Like every rock he hit, and it hurt.
Oh.
It hurt. But that's what that's what they're built for. And
take it out, put the first scratch in it. That way you get it out of the way and you can enjoy the rig.
Yeah. And both of his rigs now are insane. He's had plenty of time to jack them up, but he's gone through several different iterations of them, but they're both gorgeous rigs. But you should check them out over there on Wayalife. I'll try and put a link if I know how. I'll do what I can.
Wherever it is.
It'll be in the show notes for all you podcast listeners. So,
there you go.
I do know how to do that much. Then we had some dream car here, kind of 90s dream car stuff. So McLaren F1, like dream car of dream cars of the 90s, had a 3-seat configuration where the driver was sitting in the middle and you had two people kind of over your shoulder. Kind of insane setup there against a Celine S7.
It blew the Celine out of the water.
Yeah, it did. Which, again, notoriety for one. Celine is a aftermarket guy starting up making one-off vehicles down in Houston. Is he in Houston? Hennessy's in Houston. Where's Steve Celine? I don't know. I could Google it. But it's late.
Hennessy's in Fort Worth.
No, Hennessy's in Houston. He's outside of Houston.
Is it Roush in Fort Worth?
I believe Roush is in Fort Worth. But Hennessy's down in Houston.
Anyway.
Yeah. We digress. Last two matchups. Here we go. Dodge Viper GTS against another icon of the 90s. 90s, more so car video game world. It's probably the only way most Americans would have come across this one, and that was the TVR Tuscan. Interesting vehicle, very interesting headlight situation. I made sure when I got a picture to get that weird chameleon color paint job. But it was a hands down 37-3 slam dunk for the Dodge Viper. So
again, probably that known versus not so known kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And then last but not least, the Chevrolet SSR roadster truck thing versus a Plymouth Prowler.
I'm so grateful that the Prowler beat out the SSR.
They were very similar in their aspirations of what they were supposed to be, because neither one was supposed to be like a corner carver performance vehicle.
They were built to look cool.
They were built to look cool and be boulevard cruisers. And I put a bright yellow picture of both of them side by side, because they both came in nearly identical shades of yellow. And so no one could claim me picking color favorites here. I made it as apples to apples as possible. So, Chevy fanboy, I would love for the SSR to have won, but I love the Prowler. I recently found a picture. I didn't scan it or keep it or anything, but I found a picture of my room as a kid, and I've got that purple Prowler on the wall as a kid. And that's, when we're talking dream cars, that would be the one to have. Yep. But the SSR is definitely more practical, because you still have all that trunk space, top up or down. You don't have to have a trailer. You've got that huge truck bed. So,
very true.
Oh, man. Round two.
That takes us to round two,
Yeah. We'll blow through these rather quickly so we can get to that final four and really hash out what we thought there. But Corvette C8 against the Jaguar F-Type, really no contest there. Corvette's got the name. It's got the notoriety. It won by a landslide.
This one was surprising. The Bandit against the Z28, 69 Z28. Again, and pretty handily the Z28 took it.
And if we're talking purely by the numbers, the Smokey and the Bandit, it was a 75 post gas crisis. It had no power. All it had was a cool look. Had the Screaming Chicken on the hood. And T-tops. Like that's what it had going for it. But that Camaro Z28, no contest. Ran away with that one. And then this one got a lot of comments to my personal accounts.
Really?
From all of my friends. And it definitely did not go in their favor. Like, every car guy I know was telling me, how is this even happening? What's going on here? But the Dodge Viper GTS against McLaren F1, GTS ran away with it by a 30-vote margin. And again, it's the name of it. Here we are in America. That's America's supercar of the 90s and early 2000s. And McLaren has got a name now. They've definitely got the product portfolio, but the F1 is a little more unknown to today's enthusiasts, or semi-enthusiasts, I should say. Then we go into Shelby Cobra versus General Lee. This one surprised me.
Yeah.
Because of everything we mentioned in round one about the Shelby Cobra, and just like the fame it's gotten, the fact that it's got kit cars that you can build after it. But again, that phrase that I just kept hearing, it's General Lee, though.
It's the General. Even with Ford versus Ferrari just having come out too. I mean, that one, that was a little surprising.
Yeah. So,
I think I voted General Lee though. So.
And then we got into our first oddball matchup, like truly just off the wall, and we've alluded to it already
Polar opposites,
tonight.
really.
Yeah.
Like,
well, they're both convertibles.
well, and they're both FCA too. So
Right. So JL Wrangler against the Plymouth Prowler. I even when I put this on social media, I was like, look, I know it's no contest, but we had an off-road section that just didn't completely fill out the bracket. So an off-roader had to go up against a non-off-roader, and that's what we got. And the Wrangler ran away with that one. So,
which is wild because, again, it's a dream car.
Dream,
thing, right?
Yeah. So
anyway,
you've alluded to it a lot. Like the idea of this whole thing was, what do you dream for? What versus in this one, which one are you more likely to go out and purchase yourself?
Right.
And
it's a little easier to get financing. Believe it or not, it's a little easier to get financing for a $60,000 vehicle that's brand new than it is to get financing for a 20-year-old vehicle that's $25,000. Just the way that it works. So, and a lot of people don't have $25,000 laying around either. So,
right. That being said, I've found a few on Auto Trader, and I've sent you several links to them. If ever I make a road trip up to New York, I know what I'm coming back in.
See,
bright yellow Prowler. So, but
we should totally do that. Like when we're rich and famous, and all, you buy a Prowler, we'll fly up and drive it home, and then I'll buy one and we'll fly out and drive it home.
That'd be fun. I'd enjoy that. Go support us on Patreon. I'm not going to get tired of saying that. Then Ferrari is back at it. Ferrari versus Ferrari here. Classic versus brand new. Testarossa versus Superfast. And I guess our fans just really like the new Curry design and the modern Ferrari, which I can't blame them. If you're going on looks alone, there's nostalgia tied up with the Testarossa, but that Superfast, man, it's got curves in all the right places. I'll leave it at that.
That's it.
Then again, we've got some off-roaders. Trail Boss versus Raptor. Again, in real life, those two don't compete, and there was no competition here. The Raptor ran away with that one.
Yep.
It was closer than I thought, but the Raptor won that one, no problem. And I had my heart hoping and praying on this one, but Instagram definitely took over, and the Pagani Zonda R took down the Camaro ZL1 1LE, and it makes sense. I mean, if we're talking dream cars here, which one are you more likely to have versus what are you more likely to dream over? Right. And just the price tag of the two of them, brand new.
Yeah.
Like, it would make no sense, but I could go out and buy a Camaro ZL1 1LE right now. I could never in my lifetime go out and buy a Pagani Zonda R. Right. Ever.
Yeah.
So there's that. Round 3. What do we got? So.
Oh, okay. That was See, now we're starting to get into some decent matchups, some good stuff here. Yeah.
And I was very much looking forward to getting down to a narrower playing field because we weeded out some of the fringe stuff, the Crossfire, the Prowlers, the stuff that, it'd be cool to have, but not like just gushing and lusting after.
Right.
That's probably not the right word, but it is what it is. So, yes, an American shootout, Corvette C8 versus Dodge Viper GTS, and Corvette ran away with it. I was surprised it was not a little more evenly matched, but again,
I think
it was a specific Dodge Viper. It was a 96 GTS that was nominated, which
if it had been like the ACR or something like that, I think it probably would have done better. But
performance-wise, it couldn't hold a candle to the Corvette, and so again, Corvette's got the name.
We're gonna have to go back and look at some track times for that one, because I would argue that the current iteration of the C8 would not do as well around the track compared to a Viper GTS. I just don't think.
That'd be worth exploring.
I would love to look into that. I'm gonna have to do some research. We're
gonna have to pull some strings. Like, we have got some very fringe connections. I'm not promising anything, but I'm gonna be working my heart out to make sure that happens someday.
Oh man,
something that you and I do.
Oh, can I just want to stand next to the track as Randy Post blows by in like a 94 GTS or 96 GTS, and then blows by again in a 2020 C8. It just please.
It would be awesome. It would be awesome. This next matchup makes a little more sense than what each of them were paired up against.
This was the one I wanted to see.
So JL Wrangler, rock crawler of a vehicle versus Ford Raptor. And I was a little surprised how one-sided it was. I expected a much closer race than what we got. But the Wrangler beat out the Raptor 35-14. And,
all my Fords are taking the hits here, and I don't think it's fair.
Again, it was Instagram. Look at that. It was 29-10 on Instagram.
That was
how Instagram went is kind of how this contest went. So
it's crazy.
It's very interesting to see. And then this one just reached in there and pulled my heart out and just threw it on the ground and stomped on it.
Hey, I don't want to hear it. Ford GT first round. The GT350 are out the second round. You can take your heart and smush it in the floor if you want to, but dadgummit, the General Lee.
There it is again, that stupid comment. That dang General Lee. And I'm only bitter about it because it did beat my Camaro Z28. Like I said, I will say it until I'm blue in the face. It's my all-time favorite dream car. And yeah, it 2 stinking votes. I was up till all hours of the night checking all 3 platforms. I'm like, oh, they're tied. What does that mean? How does a tie work? Because up to this point we hadn't had a tie, and I'm like trying to figure out, what do I do? How do I make this work? Who do I call? How do I get more votes for the Camaro? What do I do?
You were trying to load up the Camaro, weren't you?
I was doing what I could, man, and I still fell 2 votes shy, and it was fun. But
that's awesome.
I knew it didn't have the legs to make it all the way to the end, but I didn't see it bowing out to the General Lee. Of all cars. It makes sense in that they're both classic of the same era. One's a 68, one's a 69. So that makes sense. But again, if it were a Camaro Z28 versus a Charger, it's no contest. It's no contest. All the comments anyone who voted for that I know of were like, told me the exact same thing you just said, was it's General Lee though. So you take that away.
This just proves we got to do this again next year.
Yes, it's going to be fun. I'll do better. We'll have seeds. We'll definitely make sure we don't get Prowler versus Wrangler. Right. And our last matchup here is the Pagani Zonda R versus the Ferrari 812 Superfast. And kind of surprised with this one. It was very lopsided. The Ferrari up to this point really hadn't garnered just a ton of votes in any one round, but here it just ran away with it.
Yeah, it did.
And put the smack down on the Pagani. So knocked it out handily, which got us to a very, very interesting Final Four, where we had the Corvette C8 versus a JL Wrangler, which makes no sense whatsoever. Only price-wise would you get those two, and even then, like, you're getting a fully loaded Rubicon Wrangler with every option, all the tops, like everything. Versus a fairly base C8 Corvette. But the Corvette won 2-1. as I guess in this bracket it should have. And I mean, again, dream car. Which are you more likely to have?
Right.
And
I love this though. For the General Lee versus the Superfast, like what is it? The Twitter votes first? Is that what it is?
yeah,
Facebook,
Instagram,
and then Instagram, and then Twitter. So 6-7, the Ferrari beat it out on Facebook. 11-8 on Instagram, which is still, I mean, that's 3 votes. That's not much of a spread.
Yeah.
And then 2-4, only 2 votes on Twitter. I mean, the General Lee hung in there like amazingly all the way up until the Final Four, and it gave the Superfast a run for its money.
Absolutely, it did. So for those of you who can do the math on the fly like that, if you tally up all those votes that Matt just read off, they ended the voting period tied 1919. And this one had me really scratching my head. I was already ticked off at the General Lee, but I was going to keep it as unbiased as possible. I was like, well, I never established what happens in the event of a tie. So I started racking my brain with sports, and I was like, what would happen? And obviously the higher ranked, the more points would win out. And so I looked at every vote that either car garnered up to this point in the contest, and the Superfast won out just because I guess it had a little bit stiffer competition. It had a little more people just going after it. I don't know, but the Italian won out, which made for a very interesting
it really did
finals.
A conclusion,
I was very happy with the final 2, just because 1, they're both currently in production.
Yep.
2, they're both cars I would absolutely love to have if someone gave me the money.
Yeah.
But kind of on different ends of the spectrum. One is kind of like the everyman supercar, and one is the elite of the elite supercars. And so that's Corvette C8 versus Ferrari Superfast. And again, I will put the plug in. If you haven't watched our reveal video and don't know who won this yet, which I don't know how you got away listening to us this long without figuring out who won it, but go check out our reveal video on YouTube. There's a picture of an orange Corvette versus a gray Ferrari. Can't miss it. Go check that out before we dive into the results here. All that out of the way. Drum roll.
Yeah.
To finish all the voting tied was very interesting to me.
Yeah.
These came out tied.
And kind of lopsided too.
Yeah.
Like 2-6 on Facebook, the Superfast over the Vet, and then 9-6 on Instagram, the C8 over the Superfast. And then only 3-2. 1 vote split between really a half a vote split between the C8 and the Superfast. I mean,
all to come out tied up 14-14. And again, so by this point, I'd already figured out how I was going to settle a tie and do a tiebreaker. But I will put a plug in here. Just again, thank you to anyone who participated and played along with us, because we had 1,133 votes across all 3 platforms.
That's awesome.
And it was fun, especially when my life was on the line on this one. And I'm calling all my friends saying, you got to go vote for this. It definitely made it fun and gave me something to do for the past month without sports in my life.
There you go.
That was very interesting. But the final vote breakdown, since they were tied in the finals, 111 votes for the Corvette C8 and 116 votes for the Ferrari Superfast. So
5 votes.
Still an incredibly close matchup between the two. And I'm not at all disappointed out of those 2 with the winner, because the Superfast is a stout car, and I learned more about it putting together that video, because I just knew it was the current Ferrari V12 GT car. that's what I knew about it going in. And just digging into the numbers, 0 to 62 in 2.9 seconds, 6.5 liter V12 engine. It's ridiculous, and some pretty engineering wizardry things going on there with how they do the aero, where all the wind goes. There's some interesting vents and ports, and I don't know. It was a lot of fun just learning more about the super fast making that video.
Yeah.
And so there, like I said, there's a video, the reveal video. After we reveal the winner, there's a big commercial for Ferrari after that. Not sponsored, but Ferrari. If you are listening, understand me. I want one. I will gladly test, review, give unbiased opinions.
Oh yeah. Feel free.
We are in Tyler, Texas.
Yeah. Feel free to fly us to Italy. That way you don't have to ship the car here. We'll just come to Italy and borrow it for a week and run over to the Nürburgring and run around for a while and then come back. That's it. That's all we want.
So after all this was said and done, Facebook brought all these memories up of a trip I took with some friends to Paris, and we were walking down the Champs-Élysées, which is their rodeo drive of Paris, and that's where all the supercars are parked and stuff. And so we saw many a Ferrari and Lamborghini while we were there, and I was drooling over them. So naturally, all those pictures popped up in my Facebook memories, and I shared them on both our platforms. But I would very much like to do some overseas videos and podcasts and testing like that. So one of these days, we will get there. So, but yeah, that was our bracket challenge. It did not disappoint. It was fun through and through, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. Look forward to doing it again next year. We will do it bigger and better. We will get more input from you, our listeners. There will be a better way to go about it. There were a few people contacting me halfway through. How do I vote again? So it was a learning curve, like I said, for everyone involved.
Oh yeah, and next year, I'll commit us to this. There'll be some rewards, like some form or fashion.
Yes.
It may be something kind of cool and special or something like that. Yeah, there will be something in it for those who participate for sure.
Yeah, and we'll go all out. We'll use all our leverage, the tools at our disposal. We've got a website that we can do some stuff with on the back end, so we can make this a whole lot bigger and better next year. But again, I can't say how much we just appreciate the support of you, our fans, our listeners, our viewers, just playing along with us in the absence of sports, keeping us entertained all along the way. As we keep y'all entertained. So really, that's all we've got for you this week. We very much appreciate y'all playing along. Look forward to bringing you more content in the future. Matt and I are working on some things. This is hopefully the last remote recording that we will do for a while because we live here in Texas and things are being lifted here. We will be smart about our gatherings in person.
Oh, yeah.
We definitely don't want to say that, we're just being nonchalant about all of it. But we're looking forward to being in the same room and recording again.
Yes.
And bringing the quality back up because there's a lot to be said about the equipment we've got there in your garage studio, Matt, that I'm very much looking forward to using again and getting off these old AirPods and onto a real mic.
Yes, absolutely.
So, but I do thank Apple for all their support.
There you go.
Not sponsored, but Apple, if you want to send me some stuff, I need a MacBook.
Yeah.
But that being said, we thank you for listening to us yet another week. You can listen to us wherever podcasts are found. You can find us on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, all at GT Garage Talk. can find links to everything we are into, including our YouTube channel. If you're not currently watching us on YouTube, on our website, it's gtgaragetalk.com. You can send us your emails, thoughts and opinions, give us suggestions for things to do in the future. We're gtgaragetalk@gmail.com. I made it as simple as possible. Everything is gtgaragetalk. But we love hearing back from you. We love getting feedback just like this. Entire bracket challenge was feedback from y'all. So we love hearing from you. We love making good content for you. So if you could just help us out, if you're watching on YouTube, smash the like button, smash the subscribe button, ring that bell. You'll get notified every time we release a video. I'm trying my best to keep to Fridays at 5 p.m. for YouTube and bright and early Friday mornings for the podcast. And y'all will keep me honest to that, I am sure, our diligent listeners and viewers. But all that to say, until next time, bye.